7B on the horses. This is the first log that will actually cap over a window opening. I was hoping that I could cap over on A and C wall, or the door and the window on C wall, but I would have had to cut out too much of my log, and I just didn't want to do that, so I went another round of the shorter logs against the openings. But on B wall, the window that's in the B wall, I'll be able to cut out a little bit where the opening is. I have the log still on the horses, and it is still leveled up. And what I did, where the window is going to be, I trued this area up so that it matches with the level where the notch faces are, the inside face of the notch. I did that here and on both sides of the opening. And there's my center line, and I came down 2 3/4 of an inch to where I'll actually cut this out. I've got it marked across here, and I've got it stored, and I got the line transferred to the outside. I worked off the outside center line and made the same layout, and I just took my flexible ruler and connected these points here and here, and just drew it, and I took my utility knife and scored it. That's what I'll do. I'll cut about halfway down with a chainsaw on both sides, and then I'll take a chainsaw and I'll plunge down alongside that line. I'll leave a little bit of it. I won't go right up against the line because it has a tendency to want to tear out, and I'll just cut down through there with my saw in there, the tip of my saw in there about halfway. And then when I flip the log over, I'll do the same thing on the outside, and this piece here will fall out. And there's some excess below that line. What I'm going to do is take a chainsaw and make a plunge cut below this line. This line is 2 3/4 of an inch from the inside face, and I will use either a 2x3 or a 3x3 piece of 1/4 inch angle iron, and one side of it will go in the slot that I'll cut, and the other will be on the side there, and it go all the way to the bottom of the opening. And I'll plunge my saw through far enough into the log that I know I have enough room for this log to settle. I'm making a motion to pull my hand back towards the camera. This log will actually be up in the wall, and that'll allow it to settle down. And I'll leave about 3.5 inches above the top of my window framing for the settling to take place. That's about a 1/2 inch per foot, be just around 7 feet to the cutout. Actually, it's a little bit more than that, but that's the rule of thumb that I use, that I go by. And I've never had a log to settle down past that over an opening, whether it's a window or a doorway. And I'm going to get my chainsaw, and I'm going to make these 2 plunge cuts. Now I'm going to cut this way just a little bit also, because when I put that angle iron in there, I will have to kind of come in at a little bit of an angle and slide it up against this, and then bring it this like this, and then let it slide down into the slot that I'll cut on the bottom part of the opening. even though I'm going to hew this log on the outside, I went ahead and put some masking paper up there just to keep that surface from soaking in the oil from off the tip of my chainsaw when I'm brushing with it, like I did up on the cabin when I was cutting out the bottom part of the window cutout. And then I'll have a flat spot here to put on for the blocking, and one here, and I should be set then. Put the angle iron in. Now I'm going to take my 2-inch chisel and I'm just going to pare down that line. I wanted to explain to you how I knew how far down to come from the center line to get this cut out. I needed 41.5 inches from this point to the bottom of where the cutout is for my opening to allow for the settling over the window. And I just tacked a little piece of plywood up here. Now I did this before B-wall was up here. And I got my center line off a seawall and made a mark on the board, and I knew that the upper notch on seawall was 3 13/16, so I established that, made this mark here, and I also knew that on B wall the lower notch is 2 13/16, which is the same as seawall since they are in the same round. This log here just sets over the seawall log, and so I came up from what would have the 3 13/16, another 2 13/16, in which that established the center line of B wall, and I knew that I had to have 41.5 inches in the clear. So I measured up on my board and made a mark at 41.5 inches. And this is not something that I planned, but actually it was just one of those things. It worked out to where it was 2 13/16 down from the center line of B wall. And so all I had to do was just measure from the center line down 2 13/16 to establish this point right here. And I was able to cut that out at that height. And then when this log went on the wall, this point right here was 41.5 inches from the lower log that has the bottom cutout in it. I'll do the same thing on the header log that goes over the doorway on A wall. I'll do the same little simple thing here, but just remembering what the notch dimensions, the numbers are from the center line, and you can establish where you need to come back down from a center line or go up from a center line to make a cutout. I'll do the same thing on round 8 on A wall, which will be the log that goes over the window and the doorway.